You don't seem to be a fan of Usyk?
He's boring. Dude, see, that's why I love England. I love coming to England. I've been to England 4 times. I love the place, my favorite place. I love the suit factory. I love all that. Because we have fighters like Nigel Ben, Eubanks, suck. Usyk the same way. Boring, scary. Fight somebody. Fury's a fighter, but he was obviously he was motivated to fight, and Usyk won, barely, and still barely. And but I tell you, in the rematch, it was different. My area is the good area. This is the pussy area. This is the pussy area. None of these fighters today who hang in my area. True stories. Pussy area.
As you mentioned, that your era obviously is leaps and bounds better than this current era. What's the biggest difference that you see from your era of boxing to now?
Ain't nobody fight nobody.
That part.
Everybody's scared to fight. We fought.
Right.
We fought. Man, anybody who won it, can get it.
Are there any fights that could potentially happen that you would like to see?
Ain't gonna happen. I want Canelo and Benavidez, but it ain't gonna happen because the ball's too small.
If you was in your prime today.
Man, firstly, let me say this video was sad to see, and sad to hear for obvious reasons, which I won't go into detail on that end, but yeah, James Toney, man, the legend James Toney, for him to, smack down on Usyk and say that Usyk's boring and, that this boxing era is, the pussy era and all that, it's crazy, man. Like, back in those days, which was the era that I was raised in, showing my age or whatnot, of course, it was more common that these guys fight more often and fight each other earlier and sooner. But also the business, was not there. These guys weren't making as much money that these guys are making now. They were taking punishment for way less. Taking a lot of punishment for way less. Today's boxers are going to make sure that paperwork is right. They're going to make sure that those checks are clearing like they're supposed to. They're not going to go out here and suffer brain damage and life-altering injuries for a little bit of nothing, for, to keep the lights on. The megastars aren't anyway. But yeah, to hear this type of talk come from this legend, man, it's crazy for me to hear, man. And to, be honest, the comparisons aren't even fair, because boxers of today have way more evolved strength and training protocols, as to where back in the day you did what you had to do out of grunt work. You survived with what you had and you became the best with what you had. But boxers of, today have more scientific, evidence to boost their training and their strength and their endurance. So to say that these guys would not last in the ring with those guys just based off of grit. So it's like grit versus advanced skill, because fighters of today are a bit more, skilled in a lot of areas. They've taken wisdom from the past and applied it to the current. So, and are still doing that. You can see that with Benavidez training with Roy Jones Jr. But what you have is fighters of today that are stronger and faster and bigger than the fighters of the past. So to automatically write them off and call them out of their names and say that, it's the pussy era because, people just won't fight each other, immediately, that's nonsense. Look at like what a lot of fighters of that era, of the James Toney era, look how they have to operate nowadays. I mean, come on, y'all, let's just be honest. Look at James Toney. Do you think he was fairly compensated for the physical ability that he's in right now? Come on, let's be logic about this thing, I have nothing but respect for Lights Out. Have nothing but respect for what he did. One of the best defensive counter fighters of my lifetime. But to downgrade these other fighters is straight blasphemy. Period.